ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MEC Pod, where we want to be the very best that no other podcast ever was. And to talk about the players, that's our real test. To make sure I don't strangle Shibby is Mac's cause. Welcome, ladies and gents. Shibby, I'm gonna let you go ahead. How are you feeling? Are you okay, Shibby? Do you feel safe right now?
I'm good. We had like 80-mile-an-hour winds warning the other day, and where I'm at, California is going through it right now, dude. Like I don't even understand. It was raining really hard. Then we get like the amber warning, like, oh, hey, 80 miles an hour winds, like don't go outside. And I'm like, all right, well, hopefully I don't like my windows don't shatter or anything. But so far it's a pretty sunny day, so I think we're good. I've weathered the storm that California has been giving so far. I'm safe. I'm in a safe space right now.
Why couldn't it take Shibby? Mac, Mac, how are you doing, my friend who is definitely not an animal?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm imagining Shibby going through like the whole plot of San Andreas, where like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is coming in and saving him from like the fault line separating as his like house falls apart.
Shibby, is that a dream for you to have The Rock's hand reach out to you and grab you as you fall into the crevice of the earth?
No, I thought Mac was saying Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like I'm just CJ from Grove Street, and I was like, when did The Rock show up in Grove Street?
Is he
Like,
playing a different game?
Like what version did he get? Like
The mods.
San
It's the mods,
Andreas.
man.
So I will say, in defense of Mac, I knew what Mac was talking about as soon as he started talking about Dwayne,
Nice.
The Rock
Nice.
Johnson.
Huge.
But my mind also did go to Grand Theft Auto at first.
Yeah,
Before he said it.
Before he said The Rock, and I was just like confused because The Rock plays the same character, by the way, in every movie.
The
There's like
Rock.
4 different
Like-
movies where he wears the same shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, San Andreas. Remember the one they made about like the retro video game where they fucking
Rampage. Say his name.
same character,
Mm-hmm.
Jumanji.
Walking tall, same character. Fast and Furious, same character. He's just a buff dude that comes in that kind of is a law enforcement or is somebody that follows the rules, but kind of goes by his own rules. That's who he is, dude.
Little bit of a
and uses his
renegade.
muscles.
Look
Yeah, he's
at
a
me, I'm the
renegade.
Rock. Oh.
Yeah, he's a renegade that muscles his way through stuff. Oh,
Is Le Punisher the MEC Rock, or is someone better fit that role?
No, look, no, that's Tiger Star. There's no question about that for me. He does the eyebrow raise literally every 5 seconds.
That's
every
fair,
time I
yeah.
toss a question to him, he goes, "Yes, I am attractive. What are you gonna do about it?" It's too much. But yo, thank you to the MEC Pod. Thank you for not clicking away from this. Before we get too heavily on to everything else, I do want to just give a little shout out, a little bit of love to AVDG. AVDG is a leading nationwide commercial and residential smart system integrator. Spanning from coast to coast, AVDG is able to meticulously design and engineer systems, provide expert technology design services, professional installation, and world-class service across the U.S. Through distinctive designs, AVDG pioneers technology to empower end users to operate systems effortlessly, improve connectivity, and position their investment for maximum long-term success. AVDG maintains and secures the success of their technologies through their extensive Simplicity service division that works continuously to monitor, adjust, and prevent system errors. Thank you, AVDG, for sponsoring us, making sure we can have a little platform to talk about all things MEC. But, gentlemen, lads, we have ourselves... This is like our second to last MEC pod. I don't know if that has set in for you guys yet, but I've been.
Are you gonna have a
thinking about it.
post-championship pod?
yeah, we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
heck
have
yeah.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
have.
was
We have to.
sick.
We
Okay,
have to have a
huge.
post pod.
Okay, nice. I
Yeah,
was worried.
just
I was low-key
etiquette.
thinking this one was gonna
Matt,
be our
come on.
last one, and
Are
I
you
was
hitting the
gonna be-
bottle? What's going on? We had the post pod. Okay, come on, Matt.
After that, that's when I'll hit the bottle. Don't worry.
Okay. Don't check up on Mac or don't. Who knows? But gentlemen, let's get things started. We're already a little bit loosey-goosey, and right now, League of Legends community is full of a lot of people making a couple takes. Some are of a questionable variety. I just want to start things off by kind of getting to know y'all's hot takes. And I would normally start with Shibby, but I feel spiteful today. So I'm skipping Shibby and I'm going to Mac. Mac,
you're going to regret this.
You're going to
regret this, man.
Why would I regret this?
My League of Legends hot take, I have pivoted from being like a Summoner's Rift spammer to a Howling Abyss warrior. And
naturally,
in the Freljord, it's bitter, it's cold. You got one lane, 10 champions. Sometimes when the going gets tough, somebody's got to step up and take exhaust. And that person rocking the summoner spell to keep the backline safe, Travesty, to keep your carries alive, to keep the DPS going. I'm rocking exhaust sometimes. You know, if I'm playing someone weak and they're diving onto me, just hit them with a little, just slap them with the exhaust, slows them down real good. They start to question their existence and integrity and moral values, and that's really what I'm here for. At the end of the day, you may be shaking your head, Travesty, but there is a finite amount of fun to be had in each ARAM game, right? A finite amount. It's not infinite. And the fact of the matter is, I want to have all of it.
One, you started off your conversation with calling yourself a warrior, and I'm going to real quick tell you about how you're not a warrior for taking exhaust. No, you're a coward. You're a pansy. You want to talk about protecting your carry? You're supposed to be the carry, Mac. It doesn't matter what champion you're playing. It is all about going in, take your snowball, throw it in there, take your ghost, whatever summoner spell you really want to take. You can even take barrier if you really want to.
Whoa!
But you
barrier
exhaust is the cringiest thing. We're gonna rename you the Cringe Dewey at this point in time. That's what you're gonna be queuing up as every time you go into the Howling Abyss. It's cold out here. I better take exhaust. Now shut up. No exhaust inside of my Howling Abyss. This is why. There's a code of honor, Mac. There's a code of honor.
Hopefully I don't get kicked out of the MEC staff ARAMs. I see everyone else in lobby and I try to join, and as soon as I join, everyone just kicks me out. Then they just start the queue.
It's just me. It's just me. Don't worry, Mac. It's just me. Jimmy, you can't get worse than that.
I just let you know I'm an exhaust enjoyer as well in ARAM.
Ah!
I've only known
outnumbered.
I've only known that summoner spell since I play. I don't take snow. I'm gonna let you know a little secret. I don't even take snowball. I don't even care. I'll take exhaust, ignite, flash exhaust barrier. My goal in life is to make sure whoever's on the opposing team has as little fun as possible. That is 100%. I agree. So I like exhaust. Me and Mac actually have been playing a lot of ARAMs, and we just double exhaust somebody.
It's kind of funny.
We even got RMC on it. One time we triple exhaust, like exhaust, and exhaust.
Does this too?
Yeah. Hey. He's on.
So does producer Hyper.
I think yeah. Also, Hyper's done it. Also, like it's a disease. I'm infecting everybody, man. We'll move past that though. Enough of the exhaust talk. I think my hot take. So I don't know if this is actually a hot take because it's been out for a bit now, but I actually think and hopefully everybody's seen it, the current LCS first team All Pro, I think is actually the best one they've done so far. It is the most, I think it's one of the most diverse All Pros we've seen. And my issue is never getting, and just for context, the first team All Pro for LCS was C9 Fudge in the top, C9 Blabber in the jungle, Golden Guardians Gory in the mid lane, C9 Berserker in AD carry, and Vulcan for EG in the support role. EG Vulcan. And my always point with all pros have been, right, whether it's football, NBA, whatever sport, right, anything.
MEC.
It's not whether, yeah, MEC, right? It's not whether you can get it the most correct necessarily, right? Like what is objectively kind of like based off these stats, It's whether can you reliably make the argument for each of these individuals, right? As long as it's not completely out of the ballpark, right? If they're contesting for 1A, 1B, then they can be 1A in my opinion, right? So like I think quick rundown, I actually do agree, and I think this is the best sort of all-pro lineup or first team all-pro voting that we've seen, because a lot of the time what you'll see in EULCS, LEC, I mean, look at LCKs. It was actually just every single T1 member. Not to say that's wrong, because you can make the argument, right? But like, people are contesting on Gumayusi being all first team all pro, which I can agree, right? I think there's a valid argument for some of the other 80 carries in that role. But it's whether to me whether you can make the argument. And so I think the hot take is that this is probably the best first team all pro we've seen from the LCS, I think in recent memory at least. Because a lot of time, I think if you look back at all the other different all pros, it's always been like a majority of the best team and then maybe some pieces of the second team. And usually your third team all pro is where it actually gets the hardest, because that's where you can kind of draw from all the other teams, right? And look at it. It is kind of a criminal. It's kind of criminal that I think no CLG members kind of got in, but I think they're one of the teams that is just definitely better as a unit rather than individual. And they kind of really are in that play style. And so I think the more criminal thing is, and what everybody's really surprised at, is the no FlyQuest members at all.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think that's wild, right? Like people are making the argument Prince versus Berserker. People are making the argument of Spica, right? Spica over Blabber or Closer even, right? Could be in that conversation. I think that is the wild part. Impact as well, but I think Fudge takes it. I think Fudge takes it in that aspect.
Travesty's face.
There's a lot of contention, and that's what's good about the All Pros. That's what's good about the All Pros.
Being good in the last 2 weeks of LCS does not earn you All Pro. No.
I mean, but it was the majority of the games, right? The last 2 weeks we had a Super Week plus another 3-game week, right? So like 2 weeks, yeah, but it's over a course of how many games? And so, I think, best thing is that it's highly in contention. It gets people talking, and it's not just like, oh, you just picked all the first.
I feel like you're
teams'
covering
numbers.
your tail when the MEC All Pro comes out. Is what I feel like you're doing.
Oh, no, I think my first team All Pro is actually all. Let me check. I think it's majority first and second team, and I think I have one other team, one player's team in there. So actually, I actually did what I don't like seeing, but in some aspects, like I said, as long as you can argue,
it's hard not to do it in some cases, right? Like, it's just difficult. I think
I've talked enough. Don't know if that's a hot take, but I think it might be.
Yeah. I don't know if that is a hot take. I know a lot of people are mad about it, but that's cool. It's that's better than taking exhausted ARM. That's fine. Yeah, no, that's good. I don't know if I have a hot take for League of Legends. Necessarily. Like I don't really feel like I have like a big hot take thing. Pantheon's not a bad champion. That's my hot take. Hey, play more Pantheon, guys. He's good in the ASOL, I swear. But anyway,
Pantheon's that you can just drop the mic right there. That is actually the most hot take right there. Pantheon's not a bad champion. Cut it there. That's all we need.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need. That's all. I don't need to explain myself. Pantheon's not a bad champion. Refuses to elaborate. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So let's go ahead and talk about more stuff that's coming up here in the next little bit. Let's get back onto MEC. I want to really quickly talk about the teams that were eliminated from this weekend of MEC competition. To give you guys the list of them, you can play the In the Arms of an Angel music at this point in time if you would like. We have Drury, we have Purdue, Northwest, and we have Briar Cliff. Any shockers or moments that you kind of want to revisit about this team in their playoffs runs? I'll let you.
I'll go.
Shibby, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay,
Mac took
go
the
ahead.
hot take one, and I think my first reaction was, "Wow, Briarcliff, Purdue." We'll talk about Illinois and kind of how they made that run. Um, that was the first reaction because of seeding and stuff, right? And then I took a moment. I was like, all right, let me let's, because we got to talk about it, right? We're gonna have to talk about it during the weekend,
You have
obviously.
to
We have
talk about it right
it.
now.
Yeah. I think the one common theme that we see amongst these, and it's actually probably one of the biggest factors actually, is each of the 3 eliminated teams, obviously other than ONU because they left. They all had roster troubles and roster swaps consistently. By the way, they never actually nailed down the roster that they wanted, right? In Drury's case, Alzahend and Ice Grande didn't come back. Like, they were in and out. Yeah, Baymax was in for a majority of the time, but that's not the roster that they wanted, right? I don't have to say much about Purdue Northwest. Obviously, Tiger Star and ISO obviously leaving, that kind of stuff. It took a little bit of while for Immune to Flame and them to kind of gel. Briarcliff was actually just playing musical chairs for the longest time, and that sort of roster, I would say that sort of roster movement and just kind of keeping everybody moving around, not letting everybody set in, get kind of their systems, quote unquote, in place, that is not sustainable, right? And when we look at the top 4 teams, yeah, you can say Illini is like, oh, they did it, they're fine. They're the exception, not the rule, right? They're the exception.
Yep.
Like, they're not, and their players obviously had previous competitive experience playing with each other, right? Silver Ritter, Mythic, like, it's not just like random subs. They're not moving. They're literally taking 5 players out and putting 5 players in. And
it's
you
like
have
their B team.
really, yeah, it's like their B team. Yeah. Yeah, like I think they have literally three League of Legends teams, by the way. They're sending some to other lands and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the common theme, and that's kind of what maybe that's something I'm hyper focusing on, but I actually think like it's really, really funny to see that. Not funny in the sense that they're eliminated, but funny to see that like they've all had major roster shakeups and just were never able to get it back together. And that's where kind of Illinois, they only swapped Sage and 255, but then they immediately swapped him back.
Yeah, sort of building on that, travesty. Briarcliff versus Illinois College, obviously a big shot going that way, a super close series. We'll let you talk about that a little bit more. I know you're having a good time casting it, doing a little, doing jamming with the crew as well, getting some songs in. With Drury and Purdue Northwest, I mean, Purdue, we hope to see them come back stronger next year. Really shocking to see kind of the flop from last year to this year, but still I think a really solid effort. I don't think for what that team went through, they ever really showed that on the Rift. It was always, I feel like, good games, fun, competitive matches to watch and cast. Wishing to Poner the best of luck in the future with him graduating and stuff, and so it'll be interesting to kind of see where that team goes in the future. Drury as well, they've got pro recruiter Fat Cat on the case, so I'm excited to see who they're gonna bring in for next year. And then Briarcliff as well, one of the newcomers to the MEC, and I think from the get-go proved that they could be really competitive with the other teams here in the Midwest Esports Conference. What really stood out, hey, they took a game off of Ottawa. Ottawa is not going to be able to have an undefeated playoff run. Their hands might have been a little cold. They may have really wanted to play at the wrong time. They had to wait and simmer and kind of wait for that first match to start it. But Briarcliff, Autofill Pete on the Viego popping off. Crazy game. I remember me and Shibby just not expecting. We were heading into it. Like, based on the previous series, Ottawa had pretty much been speedrunning Briarcliff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, like, an under 20-minute victory, which is surprisingly, I think, not something we saw a whole lot of from, like, the top teams versus the lower teams. I feel like in some parts of CLOL, you, like, literally for tie-breaking, right? The time to victory matters for tiebreakers in the bigger groups in Northwest, East, South. they like for the first couple rounds, teams are like, what comps can we play to win as fast as possible? Like they're literally will play Ziggs to try and burn through towers and just win as quickly as possible. So it was not something when Briarcliff came in. They were ready for playoffs. They gave it their all. A super cool program. I'm sure that Afternoon is going to be cooking in the off season to get them ready for the next split and keep on building what they've got started up. Much respect for all of these programs. I think it's really cool that we've got this little conference here and that people are looking to not only compete at a really high level and bring everything they've got to playoffs, but also for these teams, they're looking to build on what they've started and get ready for the future, which is really dope.
I love all three of these teams that got eliminated, right? Like they all got eliminated inside the playoffs. I personally, I feel like one of the big things is we can take a look at the bracket, and this is something I wanted to see was actually the journey that a lot of these teams went to. You can actually see the hard journey. Illinois College, of course, having one of the hardest journeys, making their way through, battling all the way from the lower bracket to get to where they are now. But then, like, you look over Purdue Northwest, they lost to Briarcliff 2-0 in their fashion. They go against Illini, still same thing. Didn't have a great time in that matchup. So Purdue Northwest, one of the teams that I really looked out for. I really enjoyed this team. This is a team that I was actually going into the mid-season. I was like, this is a team that's contending for the third seed. So seeing them drop out was always something that was crazy. And then the Briarcliff versus Illinois series that happened after the Illinois versus Drury series was actual insanity. Like, it was not an easy path. The Drury versus Illinois one was crazy as well. It was just... The fact that all these teams really did get the chance to like leave everything on the table. Purdue Northwest, their players came in trying to do exactly everything they could. For Purdue Northwest, trying to make the best out of the situation they kind of had to deal with the roster change as we were talking about earlier, and then just Drury and Briarcliff. Those games, it wasn't a testament to anything except for the fact of how good these teams improved at the end of the season as they finally got into their groove, right? All three of these teams have had roster swaps, have had subs that have happened throughout the season. And the fact that it came down to a battle royale, really, between these three teams, right? Like, I think if Drury beat Illinois College there's no guarantee that like it immediately translates into Drury beating Briarcliff, right?
Yep, for sure.
All three of the teams really fought their heart out, and nothing but respect to them. I am sad to see them go. I posted a meme earlier on in the week where I was just like, when you realize that MEC ends this weekend, and when I made that tweet, I was just like, bro, dang. It's literally like, I was also just thinking like, oh man, I casted the last games for two of these teams, right? Like, it's hard, but I know these players and teams, they're going to be coming back stronger, and I'm looking forward to seeing them, whether they stay in MEC, go to different colleges, different programs, compete in North American Amateur, or who knows, Saige Wabi was saying, hey, I want to try to go pro. They're playing this weekend. I mean, they're saying. So we'll see where they go. But it's good. It's good. I love these players. I love their stories, but their stories might be done for this season. We have 4 that still have their story. Illinois College have the Battle of Illinois, the neighbors throwing rocks at each other. And then over in the uppers, we have the rematch. Yet again, GVU versus Ottawa Braves. And real quick, lads, they've both been 2-0s each time that they've gone against each other. I want to know what you guys are feeling when it comes down to this matchup. I'm going to start with Mac.
Aha, suck it, Chibi. The travesty bias continues. You may be able to take the start of some combos, but travesties a max standstill despite the exhaust usage.
Oh no, trust me, you're down there in the dirt too. I did eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Trust me, you guys are at about negative reputation right now.
Oh goodness. But with these top 4 teams, Travesty, I'm feeling good. Chibi and I get to cast the winners finals, which I'm really looking forward to. We get a taste of
I'm excited.
Ottawa GVU good match, little vibes there, so I'm really excited for it. Based on how the last series went, it's very interesting, I think, based on Riversided joining the team, because I think he actually, and going into some of the team's strengths here, Trickster makes things very difficult in the early game, and I think Riversided plays really well into that aggressive strategy right now with Trickster being able to gank a whole lot, Riversided roaming on the map. If you get him something like the LeBlanc, like the Talia, he's going to be in your face and all over the place. So I think it's going to be a difficult matchup for GVU, who have been pretty, I think, more late game team fight focused. Mark Gonzalez on picks like the Zeri, picks like the Sivir, trying to get to that late game point and kind of carry and pop off. I do think Castle can contest with Trickster. Like, I don't think there's a jungle gap in this matchup whatsoever. I am hoping we get to see Castle on other picks other than like the Sejuani and stuff. I want to see if he can match some of that real like early game power aggression and go toe to toe with Trickster. So that's what I'll be looking for in the matchup. Looking at our bottom lower bracket first matchup, loser semis, the battle for Illinois has gone quite in the favor of the Fighting Illini. So up to this point. So I think it's going to be an uphill matchup for Illinois College, but they've surprised me so far, and I'm hoping they keep on surprising me based on that they've made it to top 4, that they've made it this far. They're coming in. They got to be feeling good with a lot of momentum. Something that I feel like we don't talk as much in like esports in general and like League of Legends and like within the MEC, because we don't see as much as the players like reacting. But I don't know if you guys caught the voice comms that Lone Force posted on Twitter, but the whole team was going crazy. I'm hoping they could bring the same energy this weekend.
Shibby, what are your thoughts? Same energy? You want the opposite because you're a monster.
I'm actually so glad we get to cast the Ottawa GVU. I would have been actually so pissed if you got it, Travesty, again. If you got the 3P, I wouldn't be mad at you. About this, right? I wouldn't be mad at you. I would just be pissed. I'm like, are you serious? I don't get one Ottawa GVU series at all. Like, I'd be going up to the top. But I think to dive a little bit more into that match or that matchup, it's
not
really
my fault. Blame
weird
the guys who make the schedule.
It's really weird because like for me, Castle has to evolve in this series, right? Like he can't. I'm not a fan of the Sejuani. I'm not a fan of the Wukong that he plays because it's odd. When you look at Castle, right? Yeah, he plays the Sejuani, the Wu. Into the other team, by the way, he's played Gragas, Lee Sin. He's a big Viego player. This guy's played Elise against Purdue. In the other series, the very first series that they played against Ottawa, he went Sejuani and Poppy. I don't want to like say this like necessarily. I don't know if it's like a mental thing they have against Ottawa specifically, and just like maybe they just have a massive amount of respect for Trickster, right? Like maybe just GVU is like, oh yeah, this guy is like a threat. Like he's really, really good. I think you just let Castle cook. You know what I mean? Like I think putting him on these kind of like defensive, reactive, like these kind of champions where you just kind of allow Trickster to kind of take the game over, it just doesn't work. Like you saw what happened in that second game. Like he was just playing Wukong and it was just so uncharacteristic of him.
Well, I think he's really good in this kind of champion still too, right? Like,
I mean, it's not that he's bad. I'm not blaming him, but it's just like you're playing Viego, you're playing Lee Sin, you're playing the Gragas Yasuo, you're playing Oud, you're playing all these other champions against these lower teams, but for some reason, when you're matching up against Ottawa, you're going Poppy, you're going Sedge, like I respect Trickster.
Poppy is good.
No, it was a good counter pick. He was into Lee Sin. No, I 100% agree. It was a champion thing, but like Trickster to me has been like one of the big, obviously Killian of course, but Trickster to me has been one of those individuals that just like stands out in these games. So it's like, oh, like Trickster's like he's going off right now. He's 11-0. Like he's getting a huge lead off of his Graves. They ran the Graves comp twice with him, 2 times. Once they lost and once they won, but in both of those games, he's just like insane on it. I think also BCU inadvertently may have exposed Ottawa a little bit, right? I think if you actually put Ottawa's bot lane, Levi and Coda on like not like a hard stomping, like really good matchup for them, they're prone to int a little, right? Like they're prone to. They went Jinx Yumi. They put on a scaling bot lane and they inted a little. Now can Mark or Nightstar and Pluto do that to them? Can they take the Caitlyn away? Can they run a hard stomp lane? Right? I think Levi and Coda are very good with calling for their jungler and playing with the jungler. But if you don't give them, yeah, I mean Killian's interview is hilarious, right? He's like they just cry if they don't get jungle attention.
They int to get jungle attention.
Yeah, they're like kids. Like Killian's like 6-0 or 4-0 on the Cho'Gath and they couldn't win, right? And I think if anybody's gonna step up to the plate on GVU side to win, it's gonna be Castle and it's gonna be their bot lane. I think Jinkall and Riverside, I think in an isolated 1v1, I think they do fine against each other. I think Prank and Killian, he did fine in game 1. Game 2, I think it was just, like I said, Trickster was cooking, man. He put Prank behind.
Yeah.
He put a lot of work. Those are the individuals I'm looking at to where I'm saying if GVU is going to win this series, it's not going to be because Prank carries 1v5 again. It's not going to be because Jinkall gets massive engages or anything like that. It's going to be up to their bot lane getting a really good winning matchup into Coda and Levi. And also if Castle can outpath, can outvalue Trickster in the jungle. Those are the difference makers in my opinion. If those don't happen, I think Ottawa just sweeps this 2-0 again. Like it's not even I'm sorry, it's not even close. That's how I feel. We can kind of talk about Illinois, Illini. Illini has had Illinois' number from the get-go. Like it is what it is. Illinois impressed me. They've leveled up across the lower bracket playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's slightly disingenuous to say that it was a hard path for them in lower bracket. I'm going to be that guy. They played against Jury, who they won 1 against, right? They won 1 against the regular season. I think that series could have gone either way. The BCU one was the one where I was surprised because BCU had their number. It was 2-0 both times. That's where I looked at Illinois and said, oh, okay, this is like they've leveled up. They're getting their stuff together. It's going to take a lot more than just kind of willpower from Illinois to beat a team like Illini, who is, by the way, starting their starting 5. That is like a tough matchup for Illinois just off the get-go, right? Nubian Lubhart, like they're just so hard to draft against in terms of bot lane pressure, right? Like Punisher, this guy's champion pool. We've seen him play farming. We've seen him play early game. That's where I'm looking. And I think Illinois, it'll actually probably be the biggest upset of the playoff bracket if they beat Illini.
I think you're probably right on that in the terms of it could be the greatest upset. The question is, has the carriage changed yet, right? Has it dinged midnight at this moment in time? I'm not entirely sure, right? I have my problems, like, so Illinois Gaming, to real quick just kind of go through there, they had a big run. They got O2'd by GVU. They go through the lower bracket. They beat Drury, and then they beat Briarcliff. The thing that is interesting about it is look at the game length time. Actually, this 2-1. There's actually a good amount of time in which they hold on to really big leads and they have troubles closing, and that is a point of concern.
Yep.
And that would be my big point of concern for them. I slacked it up to nerves when I was casting the games, because that's genuinely what I think happens. I have experience coaching like League of Legends teams, and a lot of times when you have those situations, a lot of times it's just the players are a bit too in their head. You're scared to make a mistake, because in those situations, one mistake is all it costs for you to not be in the season anymore. So I really do believe, especially with the fact that these are young players with aspirations like wanting to go professional or wanting to make themselves the next big name in North America, right? Or some of them just wanting to get up into CELO and be able to go to LA with their homies, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure that comes into it. I still have my questions. I think Illinois College, they looked good. I think Saike Wabe had a phenomenal time in the weekend. I think Lone Force looked pretty good. And then I think the rest of the cast from Illinois College is really good and really supported them. So if they go into that with like that, cool. But Illinois, they had roster issues. There's a cloud of I don't know around them, and then it's like, all right, roster.
Like, building on that real quick, Travesty. We've talked a lot about the matchups that are in front of us right now, but potentially looking a little forward, this is winners finals that we're dealing with first on Friday. Then Saturday we've got losers semis, and then there's losers finals. It's double elim. Either Grandview or Ottawa are getting knocked down, and they're gonna have to face up against Illini, who I think, based on the broader scope of CELO, need a championship win more than the other teams if they want to go to the championship bracket, because I think there's a world if Grandview or Ottawa lose that they actually, even if Mac and Shibby don't get on the selection committee, I think there's still a world where GVU or Ottawa actually do get selected by the committee. But I think if Illini gets knocked out, they're completely done. Whereas Ottawa and GVU could potentially make the broader tournament without getting the championship crown.
Yeah.
So for Illini, they've beaten GVU before. The games against Ottawa haven't been particularly close. In fact, they've kind of had their number. So I think it will be interesting as well, thinking about the losers finals. What exactly is at stake for some of these teams?
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that too, it's just, yet again, it goes back to my question of like, are they prepared, right? Like, there's also the fact that like if you just like straight up 2-0 somebody in a regular season, are you overly confident against them inside of playoffs, right? That could be a very big possibility that could come about. That shock factor exists. I'm here for it. Wikipedia, League of Legends. And then over in the upper part of the bracket, Ottawa Braves, GVU. Ottawa Braves had dropped one game to Briarcliff, right? You guys had said something about like maybe Briarcliff exposed them. Man, I'm going to be real. Ottawa Braves exposes themselves. That's just the team. Like, they are their own worst enemy.
They're the highest variance. They're the highest variance.
They have the biggest chance to flop for some random reason inside of a game, which I think makes them scary, but also just like you go into the series questioning things. And I think GVU, they have a lot to look into. We're going back into the recap. It's 2-0s both ways between these two teams. They battled for first seed twice in the season. Ottawa Braves are the ones that ultimately came out on top. I do think if we're looking at Ottawa Braves and GVU, I think my big thing to keep my eye on is if GVU loses one series, I'm going to be real, at second game, it looked like pure tilt. That game number 2, where Trickster was running amok on the Graves, that looked
11-0
like tilt to me. That
11-0
like tilt to me. So I think GVU has to rally. I think Shibby had a great point about Castle. I think he can still play those unique champions that are more supportive. I think that's still completely fine. Castle works best when they are bringing in the efforts of the team. My most important matchup for me is in the bot lane, because I do think that Levi and Coda have gotten the best out of Mark Gonzalez and Pluto inside of the laning phase every single time. And I think that needs to change. I think Mark Gonzalez is the best team fighting AD carry in the league, but it doesn't mean nothing when you're down every single time. So they got to figure out a way to enable that. And I do think that is a question that this bot lane has to ask themselves: is how do we get enabled? How do we deal with the shenanigans that come from the spot lane? So
you can't give Kate to Levi. If you give Kate to Levi, you're like literally foregoing.
I think
any
Kate's
sort of
been banned against Levi more than any other champion, though.
Bro, he's got it in the BCU game.
Yeah.
Those last two games, did you see? Like,
yeah.
BCU's bot lane didn't get to play.
I know. Trust me, I saw. There's a reason why that champion's banned away from him, and a lot of people think like, he's just a Varus one trick right now. But I think Levi's actually very dangerous, and the only reason they picked Varus is because it's a safe blind pick throughout the regular season, and people were banning out Coda's Ashe. They didn't ban out Coda's Ashe, and they first picked that in the regular season. So I think with the way
also
that
on
the
hit
changed, yeah, it's nasty.
It's on hit Varus is the new move now, and it does so much damage.
It's been doing so much damage.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and go down the list. I want to get you guys' idea, because it seems like we have an idea of exactly where we're kind of sitting at. I want to ask grand finals out of the four teams that we have.
All right.
Who are you guys starting off with? Mac, it sounds like you're ready to take this one.
Yeah.
I hear Mac. Mac's ready. He's chopping.
Go. I know my picks. I did it actually, I think last episode. I'm sticking to my guns. It's 3-1. It's 3-1 Ottawa over Illini. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna take it. It's Ottawa over. It's Ottawa over Illini 3-1. I think GVU is going to fall to lower bracket. Illini is going to beat Illinois 2-0. And then Illini is going to 2-1 GVU. And then Ottawa is just going to 3-1 them. That's what's going to happen. I'm sorry. Sorry. I wrote the script. I had it down. I printed it back when we first started, man.
I'm going to go for a bold GVU win in winners finals. And then Ottawa comes back and beats them 3-2 in finals.
5-game series.
I want it so bad, man. That would be so hype.
Mac wants the narrative. Mac just wants the narrative.
Give me the storylines.
Oh man, I wanna be bold. I really do. And my
you want to be bold or you want to be real?
So here's the thing. There's a fine line with that for me. Everybody should know that by now. There's a part of me that wants to call Illinois College going to the finals. There's a part of me that wants to believe in that run. However, even though I think if they do beat Illinois, that's great. That's good for you, right?
Yep.
You beat your neighbor. GVU or Ottawa is a team I don't know if you beat. So I think it is going to be. My guess is actually, well, not my guess. My smart boy Gigabrain prediction is Ottawa Braves versus GVU in the finals. I think that's probably the best chance of happening. But I get your hope. I've been around for a while, and your hope betrays you. It's a 3-0.
So
for Ottawa Braves.
I've watched Ted
3-0
where it's like it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, it's the hope that kills you. I'm saying 3-0. I think Ottawa Braves is actually insanely good. I think GVU showed me something that is a bit hard for me to not look at, which is that they got immensely tilted, and inside of a long series like that, you get tilted off the cusp, it gets bad. And I think if Braves just win game one, then it feels like they're probably just going to run over what GVU has. I want to believe in GVU. Please give me the fight that I know you guys can bring out. Please, because Mark Gonzalez, as I said, I hype him up for a reason. They are the best team fighting AD carry inside of the league, and I will say that as many times as anybody needs to hear. But I want to.
I can't wait for Levi to clip you. I cannot wait for Levi to clip you. I
That's
cannot
fine.
wait.
That's fine. I think Levi's the best laning AD carry inside the league. I think.
No, but he's gonna clip the team fights. Knowing Levi, he's gonna clip the team fights, and he's gonna show his perspective, and he's gonna show Mark's.
Here's the thing.
I already know.
Levi, if you're clipping this, you know where to find me. Okay? I ain't hiding.
Fair.
Like if you shut me up. Say you're just the best overall AD carry. Sure. I mean, shoot. It will show definitely when it comes down to like my All Pro and who I put on my All Pro. So we'll see about that. But as I see the RS darting around, that's the clip. That's the clip right there.
Clip him.
Look at that. Look at that clip right there. Boom, baby. In the mouth. Spit him out. This is an old clip. That was a very old clip. That's the old Levi clip.
That's the history books. Page 1. Check yourself.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? It's cool. You bring up a clip that's that old. Great. You make history now. I don't give anything about the 2022 season. We're here for the 2023 season. We want to see who is going to be able to go into the finals. Who's going to take it all? Who is going to be the champion? We're not talking about living in the past. We're talking about forging the future here. And that's what I want to see. So, gentlemen, that being said, you guys have any last words you would like to say to our loving audience before we finish off our last MEC pod before, post pod kicks in?
Shout outs to the family tree, man. The family tree warmed my heart. When I saw that, I have it saved. It's my photo background right now. Like, it's just saved. And it's me and Mac and like the god dear dads. It's so hilarious to me. I loved it. I love when stuff like that happens. Obviously I feel bad for RMC's grave. It's not a spoiler. He's casting,
I'm glad I'm
by the
above
way.
it. I'm glad I'm above him.
He didn't die. He's casting in the playoffs.
No, he's dead. We had to resurrect him. What do you mean?
Sure,
There's a
yeah.
ritual
Phoenix
tonight
Phoenix
at 9
down.
o'clock.
Threw the Phoenix down. All right, fair enough.
We're doing a ritual for him. We're trying to bring him back, okay? Remember, you're supposed to bring the Kool-Aid for it, all right?
Yeah, there you go. We're gonna drink it.
Much love to the MEC community. We're going to be bringing the hype for the final week of MEC.
I'm getting a haircut for it, man. I got one at 6 o'clock actually.
Wow, gonna look cute.
No watch, by the way. That was all for effect. No watch, that was all for effect.
Just exposed himself. Okay. Well, with that being said, yeah, and you know what? I'm appreciative that I am always in bestie tier. That's probably the best tier. That's above Shibby, Mac, RMC. That's Rebel Thoughts. Rebel Thoughts didn't even make the tree, I don't think. So, ha.
I don't think I saw it.
Screw you, Dean.
Bad.
Ha. But with that being said, hey, thanks for watching the MEC pod. I got a Cassadine, so he's gonna hear that and be like, "Wow, Travis, that was really cool." How about no? Stop it. He's gonna powerbomb me when he sees me IRL. So
we're done. We're done.
We're gonna go ahead and just cut it off there. Thank you all, everybody, for watching the MEC pod. We'll catch you all on the next time we come around.